This is the second video of CSS series. In this video we will see syntax and selector in detail. If you are new to the channel, then please check out my full web development playlist for the previous video of this series. Hey, my name is Abhishek Raj, you are watching Coder, and if you are interested in web development and programming, then please hit that like and subscribe button, and let's start after this small intro. Let's see the syntax of CSS. So for that I am writing a h1 here. Inside that I will write heading. So this is the tag and we want to change the color of this h1. So for that I am using internal CSS. So if you have not watched the previous video, in that video I have discussed the types of CSS, internal CSS, external and inline CSS. So here we have a syntax in CSS. So first is selector, then a curly bracket, and inside that curly bracket we will write a property, then colon, then value, and then semicolon. This is the syntax of CSS. Let's understand by connecting this with this h1. So first we will write h1 because we want to change the color of this h1. So write h1, then curly bracket, and inside that curly bracket we have two things, property and value. So we want to change the color, so we have a color property, and in the value you will write the name of the color. When I write red, then the color of this heading is changed. At last you have to write a semicolon. So this is the end of this line. So this is the syntax of CSS from here to here, starting with selector and ending with the parenthesis. And inside the syntax there is the main part here we have to understand is the selector. So if we have another h2, I have another h2 and I am writing here heading 2 and I want to style this. So here I want to style the h2, then write here a class. So I will write here class. I will give a class name here like name, and inside I will write name. I will call this with the name of this class which we have given it. So for calling a class inside the CSS we have to write dot and then the name of the class. So the name we have given is name, and we have to write the same curly bracket, and inside that we will write the property and value. So from the curly bracket everything is same, only difference is here we are calling h1 with the tag name and here we are calling the h2 with the class name. So this is the tag selector, this is class selector. So here I will write it. This is simple selector, you can call it simple selector, and this is a class selector. There is one more, that is id selector. So for that I will use a h3 and inside that I will write h3 and I will give a id. So similarly like you have written class, so here you have to write id and equals to and double quotes, and inside that you will write anything, any name you want to give. So here it is h3, then I am writing h3, or anything you can write like id1. So now I want to change the color of this h3. So I will not call the one way, you know that we can call this with the name of its tag, and another way is to call this with the name of its id. So for calling the class we use dot, and for calling the id we use hash and then the name of the id. So we have given id1 and then parenthesis, and then I will write color tomato. So this is the id selector, this is the class selector, and this is the simple selector, means we are calling it with name. And simple selector does not have any extra things like class have a dot and id have a hash before them. So this is the syntax and selector, and there is one more concept in selector, that is group selector. So this is a group selector. So for that group selector, like we will remove all this property. So I have removed all that property and tags. I have written a h1 and I will write here red, I will write h2, and inside h3 I will write. So this is the h1, h2 and h3. So now I want to change the color of these three elements. So for that generally what we will do, we will write h1 and we will write color here, and the value will be, so this is h1, and similarly we will have to write 2 times more for h2 and h3. And this group selector works when all elements you are targeting shares the same property and value. So here I have to give all this h1, h2 and h3 color green. If one will have a red color, one will have yellow, and one will have blue color, then you cannot use group selector. Group selector works when all the elements have same property or you want to give them a common property and value. So here this is a common property, that like the color property and the value is also same. So when this thing occurs, then you can use the group selector. So now this is the common way you can give the color to the h1, h2, h3 h3, and now we will use the group selector. So I will remove all this, and now what we have to do, we will call h1, then give comma and write h2, and give comma and write h3. So in same line I am calling h1 comma h2 comma h3, and after h3 there is nothing. So at last one we have to write curly bracket, and inside that I will write red or any color. So you can see, so in a single line you can change the color of all three elements. So this is the concept of group selector, and it's only work when you want to give a same property and value to multiple elements, then we use group selector. So this is it for this video. So if you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like and subscribe button and share this video to your friends.